Stop me if you've heard this one before.
Super Mario World is my favorite 2D Mario game.
While it sounds like a pretty cliche thing to say, I think there's a reason why so many people claim this as their favorite 2D Mario game, or even their favorite Mario game in general, myself included. It changed not only the way Mario games were made, but changed and influenced the Mario and Nintendo brand forever. It's a game that is played and discovered by both old and new players alike, and a game that I love to my core.
So join me as we discover how Super Mario World has stood the test of time.
I love this game. As I stated at the beginning, Super Mario World is my favorite 2D Mario game. I've beaten this game countless times, and when I say that, I mean I get all the exits. The only true way to beat it. I'm joking, of course, but I know it like the back of my hand.
Huh, how long has that been there?
For me, Super Mario World is a game I can just pick up and play, and if you know where to find everything, you can 100% all the exits in about 4 to 6 hours, and it's just fun all the way through. Well, almost all the way. I'm looking at you, Tubular, but how can a launch title for the SNES, a console released in 1990, be so much fun? Well, let's talk about the SNES in general. The SNES is considered by many to be one of the best consoles of all time. Nintendo themselves seem to think so too, considering that they keep re-releasing not only the games on other hardware, such as the GBA, the Wii and Wii U Virtual Console, and now the Switch's paid online SNES service, but the actual system too. Enter the SNES Classic. This is how I'll be playing the game for this discussion, and how I usually do play because I don't actually own an SNES. And I do like the feel of the SNES controller when I play this game. However, it only outputs in 720p, and the online Switch version outputs at 1080, but I didn't realize that until I started editing, and I didn't want to replay the game, so that's why it looks a little different. Anyway, this little piece of hardware is essentially an official SNES emulator. It comes with 21 games, one of those being Super Mario World, which, if you haven't figured it out by now, is the game we're talking about. Mario as we know him today got his start in 1993's Super Mario Bros. I mean, he really got his start in Donkey Kong, but that's not what we're talking about. Super Mario Bros. Took Mario from an arcade style to a side-scrolling phenomenon. And for all of you who live under a rock and don't know how Super Mario plays, allow me to elaborate. Mario moves left, running and jumping his way through different levels to save the princess from the clutches of Bowser, the main antagonist throughout most of the Mario games. I mean, to be honest, that's the main plot in darn near all the Mario games, but do you really play Mario games for the story? I mean, come on. The next game to follow the first one is usually the second one, and it was released in Japan only and not the US because it was too hard. We did eventually get this one. It was just called The Lost Levels. I've never played this one because I'll just take everyone's word for it. I'm not the best at the original Super Mario Bros. In the first place, which is why I unashamedly abuse the rewind feature on the Switch's SNES online version of the game. Personally, I find the original's controls a little too stiff for me to want to try to master the game. Yeah, I know, I just suck. But because of how The Lost Levels is and how hard it is, I won't really be considering it for this discussion. But what did we get instead of the second Super Mario Bros? Well, around that time, there was a game that was released in Japan called Doki Doki Panic, and they just took that game and essentially reskinned it with Mario in the game. Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, as I'll be referring to it, focused more on vertical platforming rather than the side-scrolling action the series is known for. It is the black sheep of the series and kind of doing its own thing, which is why I won't really be considering it for this discussion either. But in the fall of 1988, what's widely considered to be the best Mario game of all time, Super Mario Bros. 3 was released, with new power-ups, unique level design, and cool new ideas like the airship levels and an overworld map for each world. This game revolutionized the way we look at Super Mario. The game was one of the best-looking NES games. It was fun and challenging, but if you want my opinion, it's overrated. But to understand why I think that is, we need to talk about why I love Super Mario World so much. Man, where do I start with this? I guess I could start with the first impressions. Super Mario World is a great looking game for an SNES launch title. Sure, the sprite work isn't much compared to the sprite-based games of today or even a few years down the road, but it's colorful, charming, and upbeat. The game took what Mario 3 started with its world map and expanded upon that, and made it one giant map with separate areas instead of differently styled worlds. With this, you get cool things like the land terraforming as you progress, making it feel like like you're, progressing. Not that previous installments didn't make you feel like you were progressing, but there's just something so satisfying about beating a level and watching the land form around you to get to the next area. This game set the standard for how world maps were handled. The new Super Mario Bros. Games on the Wii and Wii U and now the Switch took this idea and brought it to life with 3D models and stuff. Although in those games it felt more like, hey, remember this? I sure do, so here it is again, rather than continuing a trend that was set. Also, I feel like the overworld in World transitions more smoothly as opposed to whatever new Super Mario Bros. U was doing. I mean, look at this. You're in a desert, then bam, you're in a freaking snowland, just like that. But I digress. However, that's just the overworld. What about the actual game itself? In my opinion, Super Mario World has the best level design in the entire 2D Mario series. I don't really know how to explain it, but the levels feel more fun. They feel bigger and a little more complex. By this point in the series, Nintendo had the Mario formula mastered. They brought fresh new ideas to the table with new enemies and level structure. They did take out all of the power-ups from Mario 3, but they did replace it with the Super Feather. With this, you can do many of the same things that you could do with the Tanuki Leaf. You can spin into enemies to kill them. You can also fly. I love the flying in World because it's skill based. See, in 3, all you had to do to fly was build up speed and then jump. From there, you would mash the button to gain more air. Thing is that you only had that. Once you ran out, you would fall. But in World, it essentially works the same, except if you're good enough, you can keep flying by pressing back on the D-pad. You can skip whole levels if you want as a reward for mastering the game. The game, in my opinion, also just has a better feel than the others. 3 is a little too stiff for my liking. Now don't get me wrong, I realize that some people prefer that, but not me. I like the looseness of World. It's not too loose though, it's just right.
However, if you like 3 more than World, great. In my opinion, World is just better than 3. It controls better, it looks better, the level design is better and more fun in my opinion. But if you still like 3 more than World, a lot of the same things I said about World could be said about 3. But at the end of the day, these are my opinions and this is my video. But I am not opposed to discussion in the comments.
Super Mario World really changed how Mario games were made. It took what Super Mario Bros. 3 did and did it better. The changes it did make were good, and the level design is the best, most fun up to that point, and dare I say thus far. It has influenced the Mario brand just as much as 3 has, and is still played by both old and new players. For me personally, I found Mario World in a rough time in my life. I do have a lot of appreciation for this game for what it has done for Mario and the fun times I've had when I've played it, and when I come back to it, and when I will come back to it in the future.
Super Mario World is my favorite 2D Mario game, and it's definitely in my top favorite games of all time. It's a game I enjoy coming back to time and time again. I'll tell you what, if I've convinced anybody to give this game a shot, let me know in the comments. And I'd also love to discuss your thoughts about this game. But until then, you guys take it easy and stay awesome.